hit record. And I see our last week guest is also here. If anyone still has more questions about what happened last week, is here to listen to how is Kanye doing it. Just trying to get to Facebook and then also allows the last few people to join. Another exciting entry. We'll tell you about it in a short while. Hey, Ati.
Hey, Ndumiso.
How are you?
Thank you for the. I'm good, man. I'm just sweating. I just came from a run. You know, I'm boasting about Cape Town. Being in Cape Town, we have, just run along the beach. So, that's good.
I see what you're trying to do then, eh?
The rent is very high. Eh?
The rent is high. Yeah. And Juliet?
Hi, Ndimiso, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Nice to have you here.
I wouldn't miss it.
All my millionaire friends are here now, eh?
You know how they say together we can build a nation, eh?
Yes.
So we united.
Yes, yeah. For those that were not here, Ati was here last weekend, and so Juliet was here, I think 3-5 weeks ago, and to share with us her development, and she's financed by TAF. So yes, yeah, we're moving on. Whether people are on the bus or not, we keep on moving. So ladies and gentlemen, who's that now? Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
Yeah. Ndumi, so it's Tekofatso.
It's Tekofatso. Okay. Let's see if we can find her. Teko? Okay. Yeah, she's muted. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending this exciting morning. I'm very excited about today's session. Obviously, all my guests are equal, but we know how life is. Some guests are more equal than others. I will tell you. I will tell you more about why I'm so excited about today. But just to welcome you and say thank you again for joining us in a Saturday morning. Winter is coming, kancane, and we're starting to get a cold, and days are short, and nights are just a little bit unusually long and cold. So that's why it's important for us to start networking, be here with people of the same mind, because we can only rise up if we go together. Like they say, we rise by lifting others. So we welcome you and we thank you for having joined us. Let's see our agenda. We're going to skip most of these things. We're just going to go straight to why we're here. We're gonna skip Ekasi properties. We're just gonna go straight to Usiskanye, and we talk about what's happening next and the training that we'll be providing. Just for you, few ground rules. Most people that are here today, they've been here before, so I'm not gonna be talking a lot about these things. have an open mind. What's important is that apply what you learn. The past few days, I had a session with my coach, and he was saying to me that I must be careful of about this work that I do in disseminating information, because there are people that are just out there to get information and they do nothing about that information. And he was saying to me, you need to look out for those people because the people that you need is people that are ready to do something about the information that you present. So I'm pleading with you, and I'm asking you to apply what you learn, because wisdom that you get and you don't apply is basically wasted. You're wasting your time. You're wasting everybody's time that's involved in the process of allowing you to be here. At least I know that I learn every Saturday. I do this thing for two reasons. The first reason is to help you grow. But the second reason is a selfish reason. Because every time I come here on Saturday, I come and I learn. I could do these sessions in another way. I could have the guests coming here and sharing with me, directly with me, about what is going on, about how their experiences in property. And then I would then keep that to myself or share that on YouTube and Facebook and everywhere else. But I decided, no, I don't want to do that. I want to grow with people. So hence I invite you to come here and learn from my guests. So I'm just pleading with you to apply the things that you learn. Don't just get information and do nothing about it. For you to be able to get more from the sessions, you need to be present. You also need to contribute. That's all I'm going to say about this, and then we move on. Leave everything about me. You probably know me by now. If you don't know who I am and what I do, you've got my number, so you can be in touch with me. Also, our platforms, you probably know where to find us. In fact, the reason why you're here, you probably found us through our platforms. If you are not in any of our of the Facebook group, there's two now that are running, basically doing the same thing. But I can just say this, that the second group, the latest group, for now is not closed. I just want to see how is it gonna go. The discussions that are happening there. Hopefully it's not gonna be too busy, then I will leave it open. Then if people are not sharing things that lead me to close the group, I'll probably open the first group as well. So if you are not in any of the WhatsApp groups, let me know, then I will add you on the group. In fact, I'll give you the link, then you can come to the group. And then today, we've been talking a lot about these two pictures here. And today is the day where we get to really know the full story, what happened, the genesis of, of the two pictures that we've been talking a lot about. And we're gonna skip, I said to you, I don't want to say anything more, just gonna skip through these things. Again, today is a testimony about what I've been saying to you, that you will probably won't succeed in properties. Probably, obviously, success depends on a person by person. But if you want to grow big, you probably won't be able to do that as quickly as you would with your own money, as compared to if you're using other people's money. If you want to grow, you need to warm up to you having to be able to get other people's money to then go on. Now this session is, or not the session, the properties that we're going to be talking about today were financed by the GPF. I don't know if I actually have yeah. this property, because this is one property, it was financed by the GPF, and the GPF people are here today. I don't know whether they are here to support Siskany, or they are here to watch out, to make sure that she says only the good things. But they are here, like I said. If there is any questions that you guys want to ask them directly, or if they want to add anything, they're free to do so. But also towards the end of the presentation, I'll just give them some time to wrap up whatever that needs to be said that they think needed to be said. So today we're getting to why we're here today. Obviously, we hear about these properties, but today is very special for me because, maybe let me put it like this. Jim Rohn says, life is a miracle. There's a lot of things that happen in life that you do not understand how they happen. You just need to accept that they have happened and move on with your life. Tyler Perry, in his book, I'm sharing this book so that you guys, if you want, can go on and read. In his book titled Higher is Waiting, the Madhya guy, he says, he classifies his relationships in fact, he uses the analogy of a tree in describing the kind of relationships that he has with different people. He says some people, he calls them leaf people, that they're like leaves. He is a tree, so some people, he sees them as leaves. They come for a season, and then when winter comes, they fall off, and then they go. Some people are branch people, so they stay in for more than one season. But after some time, if there is a strong storm, then they fall off the tree. But some people are root people. Says they like roots. They support structure for you. Now roots, they are happy when you thrive. They hold you up and they support you. So today, I have one of those people for myself in this business. Siskany is one of my root people. And there's a number of them that are in this session today, and some of them will probably get the recording. I don't know whether I should take the risk of mentioning those people, but I can say, like I said, Siskany is number one, my root people. She supports me. She sometimes screams at me why am I charging such a low price for this, because then it makes the product very cheap, as if it's worth less, and the people should try and commit more in what they are doing. If I'm not doing these sessions for some time, 2 weeks, then she says, but where are you? And there is people like Ukanya Ngonyama, who's here, who's been here and supporting me. There is Zamo, who's also is not in the call, but he paid and is going to be getting the recording. And these people, it's amazing, because these people, the people that I'm mentioning, so it's a number of them. Also, Usis Eunice Dollar, she's one of those people that supports me. These people, I use the phrase of life is a miracle by Jim Rohn, because these people have made it. They are at some level with their property journey. But it's amazing that they keep on coming. Every Saturday, they keep on coming. They come here to learn. So now what's amazing is that you don't really know why do they keep on coming, when the people that are actually supposed to be here, they tend to be more like leaf people. And most of them, they come for one series and then they don't come again. Whereas the people that you would say they are not supposed to be here, they've made it. For instance, look at what Mrs. Kanyi has done. But she keeps on coming. Every Saturday she's here. Sometimes I even say, like now, she wanted to pay for this session. I said, but you are the guest. Why do you want to pay? So I pleaded with her to say, no, please don't pay for the session. So I don't want to talk too much. Mrs. Kanyi and Mrs. Kanyi, thank you so much. And for everyone else that's here, and that's my root and the leave, and the branch people that are here on this call, I highly appreciate you guys being here. And Mrs. Kanyi is an epitome of the people that have supported me throughout this journey. Mrs. Kanyi, welcome, and I'm so happy to finally have you here.
Thank you.
For a long time, but it's on postponed. And this morning, things started happening, being asked whether the video must be on or not. And
yeah.
This morning.
Yeah, I think I'm some type of introverted extrovert. So, but that's fine. The video is on. So yeah, let's start. Yeah.
Yeah, no, let's get started.
Yeah.
So for you, ladies and gents, we do these sessions because obviously we as Black people, we hardly have these kinds of gatherings where we gather and talk about money and building legacies. So these sessions that we've been having, and we've had a lot already this year. Like I was saying, Artie and Sis Juliet, they are here, and there's been those sessions where we bring people that are somewhere in their journey of building wealth and creating legacies, to come here and share with us how they do it and why do they do it. So let's go on with you, Sis Kanyi. Take us from the beginning, your childhood, and how has it prepared you to be
here? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Dumiso, for such a warm welcome. I really do support your work. And I am just looking forward to the stuff that we are going to do in collaboration with Legacy Properties, and also the other people, I think, who are on a similar journey to ours, on really putting down serious assets around human settlements, around living spaces. So I really am so happy to be here. Finally, I tried to get out of this. I don't know why, because I love to talk about the Sharon Rose. So the behemoth that you see in the picture there is called the Sharon Rose. It is located, and I will talk about myself, but I just sort of want to give context. It is located in Benoni, right opposite the Prasa station, which is unfortunately now defunct. Part of my feasibility study, was around the fact that I had gotten this amazing piece of property right across from the Prasa station, and we know the problems that Prasa is going through. But yes, that's it. There on the left-hand side, there are two adjoining, two adjoining units, and then on the one side it sits sort of on its own. So I guess what you're looking at are two sides of one property facing each other. So, but it sits on a 3,600 square meter stand. So where did I grow up? Where am I from? I'm from Orlando East in Soweto. And so I think if someone like me from Orlando East Soweto can achieve this, I think greater things can be achieved, really. And if I can be a channel for anybody for anyone to look at me and see that it's possible, that's great as well. So yes, I grew up in Orlando East Soweto, born at that great hospital called Baragwanath. And my mother was a matron there. And so I think we had a very modest upbringing. My father worked for the City Council of Johannesburg but in Soweto, and mom was a matron at Baragwanath Hospital. But they had a very big vision, I think, for what they wanted our lives to look like. So we were the type of children really who, even though our parents were very modest, went to great schools. And I think we enjoyed the finer things in life. If young people now look back, they probably think not, right? But for us, it was amazing. We attended Saturday school. So we went to school Monday to Friday, and then on Saturday, we attended Saturday school, where we learned to read music, we learned, participated in plays and dramas, and took part in art. And so it was just really a great life. And then, of course, Sunday was for church at the local Methodist church in Orlando East. And so that was our lives, really. So yeah, and so in a nutshell, yeah, Orlando East is where I call home.
Okay, no, thank you for that. I like the fact that you're saying your parents had a great vision for you, because sometimes success does not. In fact, most of the time, it's better if you have someone who's leading you to a certain direction. If you are in the dark, as I call it, you grow up and there's no one to take you anywhere. It becomes really difficult. It's important as parents. In fact, that's why I always say to people that if for anything, just be successful for your own children, because then if your kids can see you succeeding, or at least building something that is leading towards success, then they've got somewhere and something to look up to. Now, if we don't do anything to channel our energy towards achieving anything significant, that's why our communities will then always go down. And this is exactly why we do this session, so that we get to meet people who are somewhere in their journey, like I said, and try and learn, or even if we just try and eliminate them and see where we can go with it. Now, you talked about church. Would you say you are a spiritual person? Is there anything that you do towards that?
Yes, no, definitely. No, definitely. Definitely, yes. I am. And if we go into that, we might be there. But yes, I do. I have my own church that I go to, and my let me say my prayer group that I really lean on quite a bit. And I think we've needed that during COVID, when church has more or less been online. And really, for me, I've kept it online. That's the honest truth. But I think it's been great just having, the prayer group. And so that for me is a big support system. It's part of my ecosystem of success, I call it. Yeah.
That's great. I'm learning spirituality. I'm moving towards that direction. So I'm wondering whether how does it assist you, or how has it assisted you in this journey of basically development of Sharon Rose?
Well, it's assisted me a lot. I do have someone I call a spiritual teacher. So I have a spiritual coach. And not even a pastor, interestingly enough. He's not, okay, so he's not. I think he's more a rabbi.
But the funding, they are tough. The housing development.
Okay, sorry about that. I've muted Lebo.
Okay. And so how it helped me, with the Sharon Rose, is that from when this whole journey started, it's probably been 7 or 8 years now. And I mean, we'll get into that in some detail.
Yes.
And so there've been a lot of times when I've had to rely on a power much higher than me. I you know, because it was quite a big transaction. And I think when I applied to the GPF initially that year, they said that the funding was for 15 million, I think, or 15 units, but I mean, much smaller than, so what I applied for and what I eventually did were chalk and cheese. And so it did need a lot of spiritual hand-holding. I think that the GPF has done a lot of work with the incubation, because of course, that is what it promised going in, that this was an incubator. So they were looking for emerging property developers, and that was clear. So the technical hand-holding they've done without doubt, and done very well. But you know, it also needed a lot of spiritual hand-holding. And so that's helped me quite a lot, you know, because there were times when and it's interesting because when we started building, so when the foundations were done, I actually got an offer I got a call, and I think, I'm not sure which hotel group, I can't remember now, but you know, I was asked, could I sell it as it was? And you know, and the money, for what we had spent so far, I think was good money. But then to just keep on reminding myself that I had a bigger vision.
Yes.
The vision was always bigger than, you know, trying to build and then have a fire sale. That's not what this thing is about. I'm in it to win it, and I'm also in it for the very long term. I always tell people that for me, it's about putting down serious assets, you know, on the ground. It's about doing new build. It's about doing greenfield. That is what I'm passionate about. It would have been easier, probably, and I think the returns would have come back quite much quicker had I bought a flat, and there were many for sale in the city of Johannesburg at the time. You know, bought a building, either, you know, renovated or took a building that was an office and then converted it and to a brownfield, as it were. But I just always knew that for me, the vision was bigger. And as I was preparing for this meeting, I was trying to think, when did this vision, when did this desire take hold and take root in my life? And I remember being a teenager and going to Hillbrow. Now, I mean, the Hillbrow that we know today is not the Hillbrow that we grew up going to. It had a lot of lovely restaurants. That's where the nightlife was, you know, and when you were a teenager, that's more or less where you went. And I remember being struck by all those flats in that one area. And I said to myself, wow, did these people come together as a collective and decide, you build here, I'll build here? I mean, how did it all happen? How do you get this great symmetry, you know, of living spaces? How do you get this entrapment of space on such a big scale? And even then, as a child, I think I could sense that this was scale, you know. And so that's why I always say, for me, I'm actually not surprised that when I went in, it was supposed to be quite a small deal, but then it then turned out to be quite a big transaction. I think because the vision itself was so big. And I'm really looking forward to us as a group even putting down those assets, you know, big assets, but in symmetry, things that are uniform, that work together, that complement each other. And really for me, this is what has attracted me to this group. Yeah, and if I can be a channel for that in any way, you know, I'm looking forward to being that.
Yes, yeah. It's important that we have some kind of a superpower that we look up to. I know there's a lot of people who don't believe in superpowers, but things happen when you believe that you are not in control. Someone else is in control. But let's talk about the part that we can control, which is self-development. I know you are one of the proponents of self-development. Would you mind sharing with us in terms of what is it that you did to get you to where you are today in terms of self-development?
Yeah, so it's been a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then at the end it's this wonderful symphony, right?
Yes.
So, you know, if I look back on my life, after university, my first job was as a credit analyst at Investec. And when I look back on my life, I always feel that we were so busy learning about the world and how to control the world and how to manage the world. And there was little in the way of learning to manage ourselves, how we manage ourselves in the world, around how we manage our time. You know, and for me, time is the big one, right? Because whatever eats your time, is going to eat your destiny. and one mistake in time can really cost you a lot of years. And so I really wish I had taken out some time to learn about managing my own time, learning to manage my own emotions, because somehow these things catch up and eventually, and when you participate in any personal development, that is what you're going to start with. You know, managing your emotions, understanding your values, understanding your beliefs, understanding your drivers. You know, what drives you, what wakes you up every morning, what keeps you going. Because I think there was times during even this journey with the Sharon Rose where it looked like the contractor had run out of money and the development was at, you know, it stopped. And I really had to dig deep. I've had to really, really dig deep. As I say, fortunately, I do have a funder. And it's not a nanny state, so they won't nanny you in any way. Please, I just don't even want to give that impression. You're going to have to know those numbers. You're going to have to understand what you're about. You know, and in that whole process, I also lost my mom, who was a very big supporter of the stuff that I do. And so I think there were a couple of months, even when they were worried, you know, how is Kanye going to get through all this? But yeah, you know, so the personal development work, you just cannot not do. It's a big part of the journey. The spiritual, the spiritual leaning helps, because I think it just stops one from completely falling apart. You know, and so, and I think the more I've gone into the journey, I've met like-minded people. So there's a brotherhood and there's a sisterhood, and you know, one is able to share their journey and give a lot of support to others, right? Because I don't think it was all in vain. I think it was so that I could be some kind of channel, one, for people to look and see that it's possible, but also to give some guidance, you know, around how things should be done. And I think anyone going into these kind of transactions now, and possibly looking at a green field, you know, one can even mentor, one can even help, one can even give advice. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And I'm sorry about your mom.
Yeah, it is well.
Yeah, and you talk about the sisterhood and the brotherhood, and I'm thinking about the tea that you did not invite me in with Juliet.
Yes. We're building a sisterhood. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move and get into it. On the property itself. Take us
Yes.
back to the beginning. How did you find the land? How did you find the even GPF?
Yes. So I had a small student accommodation in the Vaal, in Bedworth Park. And so that is my first foray into property. And it was very small. It had 15 students. And you know, the returns were not great. And I think at the time, the university was not very, well, the volume of University of Technology, and then there's the Northwest. I think they really didn't have a way to work with emerging entrepreneurs who wanted to be in the space, you know. So one had an entrepreneurial interest in providing the accommodation. And I think they just really didn't come to the party. The rentals are very low. I'm sure that has changed. I mean, I'm talking about probably 2010, 11, and 12. And then, but I just knew I wanted to play a bigger game. So that was very clear to me. My vision was that I just wanted to play a bigger game. And I think the first advert, and maybe GPF can correct me here, but for me, the first advert that I saw on the EEPF was in 2011, and I applied. But I mean, I even laugh at my application. It was so paltry and so scanty, and it was laughable. But it was a try. And that failure taught me a lot, because it made me, you know, go back to the GPF and say to them, look, really, how if I want to do this thing, how am I going to get it done, you know? And they never tired. They never tired. At the time, it was a lady called Petsile Koza. She's still the specialist on the project. Her and I are very long suffering on this. And but you know, I didn't see it as a failure and walk away. I just thought, you know what, these people are going to be tired of me. And I'd write emails and I'd say, look, how does this work? How does that work? Because of course we didn't have Ekasi Properties. So we didn't have a forum where we could understand about feasibility studies. We could understand about the different types of debt, how you look for land, how does an OTP work? You know, just, and while yes, I do come from a finance background, finance and treasury background, but when it came to property, I was truly a novice. But the desire was deep, and the desire was strong, I think. And so, yeah, I learned a lot from that failure. And I just knew that when the advert came back again, I would be very prepared. And so if you look at the first application and the second application, they were vastly different. In the second application, I really took time. I was very, well, at the time I wanted to invest in Randfontein. I just saw Randfontein as just one of those areas that showed a very good growth trajectory. I spent weeks there, my weekends, where I was trying to find land. I was talking to landowners. I was talking to the municipality, because you've got to talk to those town planners. You've got to go into the municipality and start to build a rapport and a relationship, because you're going to come back to that same municipality for all the approvals you're going to need. So I think one of my greatest strengths is around collaboration and networking and people, putting people together. So that's something that comes easily for me. And so, you know, long before, I didn't even know that in 2012, the advert would come back. All I knew is that I needed to do my own self-development in the space. And so I did a lot of work. I mean, I remember at one stage, I took my young children and my husband pitched up a tent, and we were asking people, look, if I come and I build here, would you rent here? And you know, how much would you be willing to pay? Yeah, so I just did a lot of work to prepare. I did a feasibility study, went right from the macro. So trying to understand demographics, the movement of people, even into Gauteng, even into, quite specifically, even into the Randfontein area. And so when the advert then came out, I think it was in September of 2012, I then applied. The closing date was 30th of October. And then, you know what, I applied and then I just let it go. So application done, let it go. And then I heard back from them on 1st December 2012 to say that I'd been accepted onto the program. Now I was a client of GPF, right? Mm-hmm. And then in 2013, GPF, together with the other successful applicants, we then started the process of really being educated around the space. We would attend, courses at the GPF. They would bring in different kind of professionals, quantity surveyor. I mean, I didn't even have my stuff costed. All I had was designs, but I didn't even get it costed. So then, talking to quantity surveyors and them addressing us, talking to architects, we had town planners, we had developers, we had property managers. And so it just 2013 was just a great time of learning. No deal, still hadn't done a deal. 2013, 2014. And then I think in 2014, late GPF said, now really, we need to get this, we need to do a deal now. So, but by then GPF had then given us what they call a mentor. So we had mentors to hold our hand through the whole process. And now the process had to start around me finding land. Randfontein didn't work so well because there was an electricity capacity issue in Randfontein at the time. I think it's been sorted out now. I was really also keen to develop in Maboneng. But really we spent a lot of time, a couple of months, going around with the property mentor, with my mentor from GPF, around trying to find the ideal spot. And then probably towards the end of that year, then I saw that there was an auction of properties, and there was a property in Benoni. And so participated in the auction and got some great experience around that. And yeah, was able to get a property then in Benoni. Yeah. And so then we were given time to do the feasibility studies. Sorry, I hope the dog is not too noisy, but just really do the feasibility studies, do now the real work around what it means to put down a property of that size. Initially, I wanted to do 72 units. That is what the property allowed, 72 two-bedroom units. Unfortunately, parking did not allow. That's the first thing. And then the second thing was, besides the parking really, why we then resorted to the 66 units was because in Benoni, you must have a play area. So you must set aside an area for kids to play, etc. And so that took away those units, 72 minus 66, and 66 is eventually what we went with. So then once the property was in hand and was transferred into my company name, I now had to do the development plan and to be handed into the municipality. And that took quite a long time. I was actually shocked. I didn't have to do a rezoning. So we didn't do a rezoning on my property, but the plan itself to the municipality took a long time and a lot of begging and a lot of, how can I say, a lot of lobbying, you know, to get it approved. And that consists of, you know, the fire design, but first, I mean, the architectural design, and then with all the input from the different professionals, and then, you know, you take that to the municipality. And I must say that took, I think ours was close to a year. And now in the meantime, there's carrying costs, right? Because you still have to continue to pay the rates and taxes on the property.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think with the kind of relationships, you know, one has at Ekurhuleni, you know, where they can, they have sort of assisted with the kind of rates. So my rates for now, really, I'm not really paying a lot. I went in and just asked for some assistance around that. But I'm saying initially I had to carry that property for a good year, even longer before we actually started the construction.
So you got the property from the auction?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Yeah, very.
So who assembled the team for you? For instance, you're talking about the
Architect QS,
the
all the
architecture and
professionals.
the plans.
So it was my GPF mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only professionals that I chose for myself, which I think ultimately did not bode well for me, were my project managers. You know, yeah, I chose the property managers, but I think in hindsight, one needs very, very strong project managers in order to do projects of this scale. And my my project managers were not necessarily, I think, the strongest, but yeah.
Okay.
But the other professionals, I was assisted by the GPF mentor.
I just want to understand this. So the mentor assisted you through GPF, or in his own personal capacity thought these are the people that you can work with? Or that's what GPF provided into the project as well?
No. So GPF does not get involved there. They provide the mentor, and the mentor is paid for by the GPF. All right. And then the mentor said to me, look, these are the professionals who work in the space, and this is their background, this is their experience. And of course, I was a newbie, so I said, yeah, that's fine. Let's go with them. Yeah. And I think they're great professionals. It was a good professional team, yeah. But I think you need a very strong project manager to bind it all together.
Yeah. So can you just share with us now your experience in the construction process?
I call myself the long-suffering client of the GPF. I don't think, and it would be interesting if they're on the call, if they could share if there are other such suffering clients. But I have suffered a lot. I actually am younger than what I look. It has aged me terribly. Yeah, on paper, my contractor looked great. On paper, had the right grading, the highest grading. These are people who build, all manner of things. Serious engineers, who were also, in the construction space. So I thought, walk in the park, 2 years maximum, 24 months, done and dusted. It did not work out that way.
Yeah.
Far from that. I think, look, there were a couple of delays. The first one is the plan that went to the municipality, the development plan that took long to finalize. And then I think the other thing that took long is that once we were on site, the soil conditions were not what we initially thought. And when they started doing the foundations, they then discovered that the soil conditions were not all that great. So we had to go back to the GPF, I think, to ask for a small top up in order to make sure that the foundations were what they needed to be. So that took long as well, because there's another professional you now need to add who comes and checks those soil conditions, etc. Time is moving. Time is moving. It's not standing still. And then the other long delay was in HBRC. That took long. I think I must check my timelines, but that could have, easily taken about 7-8 months, and that
Yeah.
shouldn't really take long at all. But in my project, and so you've got to add all these months, and the carrying costs, because you must continue to service those rates and taxes at the municipality. You can't abdicate that responsibility, and I think it's important, I think as well, for us developers to understand this, and investors in property, that things are binding, things are real, that money that you have to pay every month to the municipality, those things are real. So yeah, and unfortunately what we did is we broke ground and then applied for NHBRC. So it does look like the contractor themselves had been on that site for very long. So we should have gotten that in place first and then broken ground. But even when we did break ground, we obviously then had the soil conditions issue, and that took us another couple of months. So yeah, it's been a very long journey. It's been a very long journey. But we now have works completions. So, okay, we're just waiting for the final report, but we have practical completion. So the building itself is ready for occupation. We're now just waiting for occupation certificates. But I would say that my journey is almost 8 years, 7 years from when we started, maybe 8 years from when I applied to the GPF initially.
Yeah. Now, when you building strong things, they take time. So if you're building something that will last, it will take time. Because it must be strong, you must be strong. So
Yep.
you are a testimony to that. Maybe let's go back to financing and see how has financing been affected throughout this journey. Maybe if you don't mind, if you could take us through the structure of your loan. So you have probably had to pay a contribution, equity contribution,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
what is normally referred to as just the normal deposit. And then the financing, is it only financed by GPF, or you've got senior and junior funders on it? And how has these delays affected the financing?
No, it's affected it in a very big way. But maybe before we get to that, the structure is very simple. It has 3% of my own equity. And then there's a senior funder and a junior funder. It's not important to know who the senior funder is, because I think each deal is different. But what I can, how I can answer, I know somebody at the beginning of the call was asking about the junior funding and the senior funding. So the junior funder is GPF. So the junior funder is GPF, and there's a senior funder that GPF brings to the table. That's why I'm saying I don't think it's necessary to say who mine is, but certainly the GPF helps you to bring the senior funder to the table. And so I've got 2 loans, one with the GPF and then one with the senior funder. Yeah. So, and then my own equity. And why I would encourage people to apply to the GPF is simply the fact that that kind of leveraging is just very difficult to find. I mean, to put down 3% and then, get the kind of debt that GPF brings on the table is something quite amazing. Because I guess I used my pension. So, because everybody now wants to know, well, where did you get the 3%? Or and it works out to a little bit more than 3%. Because remember, going into the transaction, so long before you apply, you're going to spend some money, because you need designs, you need to put together a very formidable business plan. So I don't want to make it sound, maybe it's not it's achievable. But I'm just saying that, you know, people should already orientate themselves that there is money you're gonna have to put on the table. And I think with this new application, I think you do need a QS. So you need to come in with those quantities already. And those are some of the changes I think that have been made. And you have to come in with land that is already serviced. It was different for us. So let me not lose my train of thought. Your question, okay, so let me continue. So it has my equity portion. And then, and as I say, if we just spend a minute to talk about the leveraging, because I used my pension. So I used my pension that I had, you know, had from corporate, working in corporate. And I felt that that was the right thing for me, because I had watched my parents work for 35, 40 years, and then to retire and, you know, just really retire poor. And so I just knew for me that I had to change that for myself and for the ones that come after me. And so I don't have a pension, right? But invariably, the investment will yield a result, and you know, we'll tenant it, etc., and we will it will start to pay for itself. Because remember, we grew up being told that property is a good investment and it pays for itself. So we expect that the Sharon rules will do the same. So yes, so in the funding, it's the equity, it's then the senior funding and the junior funding. The senior funding, and I can't remember the percentages now, I just have to work it out quickly. The senior funding is slightly more, yes, the money from the senior, but slightly more than the junior funder.
Yeah.
But I did not have to go and find the senior funder. GPF does that as part of the support package that they provide.
Okay. Let me ask you the last question, and then we can open the questions up to the audience. I have lots of questions, but let me ask you the last one, and then you guys must be ready with your questions. You raise a hand, you ask your question, otherwise put it on the chat. We'll see if we can get to it. The best way is just to raise your hand and ask your question. Now, the contracting
Yes.
with all these service providers, it must have been technical. How did you manage that to make sure that the contracts are covering you, especially because of you probably were inexperienced, as you said, in this? How did you manage the contracting? Because all these delays and people running out of money and the delays now obviously would affect you in terms of how you conclude the project, and all of that needed to be covered by the contracts that you have with the service providers.
So what's the question? It's such a loaded question. It's so loaded. I mean, there's got so many sub questions in it. So I mean, obviously, yes. I just had never contracted for the construction. I mean, because that is big. That is big. And one of my time to time, GPF, you know, asks the clients, you know, how do you think we can do things differently? And personally, I feel like my mentors were great up until we started the construction. But I think once we enter the construction phase, you need a very, very technical mentor. And so maybe then the mentors should shift a little bit to get someone who really, really, you know, understands those numbers. I've been very lucky in the sense that even though my project has delayed, and yes, I do owe GPF a lot of money. Yes, I do. But the project itself did not have cost overruns. So there's no great variation, you know, orders, etc. I mean, really, it's a miracle. That is also a miracle. But obviously, there's a lot of things that we will not be able to do when we start tenanting. So there's no landscaping. There's some things that just, if they were aesthetic, that will happen over time. and the money has really been spent on making sure that the place is livable. It's a beautiful project. If I say so myself, it really, really
Yes.
is a thing of beauty. So my how I can answer that is that one of the feedback that I have given to the GPF is maybe to get us a very technical mentor going into the deal, one who looks at the numbers, one who can spend time on site, can make sure that the contractor sticks to their to what they've promised. And I know they'll come back and they'll say, but that's what your project manager has to do. But I think maybe to run some workshops for the project managers to say, look, this is our expectation as the GPF, excuse me. This is how we expect that once we are on site, stick to those timelines very, very tightly. But that is feedback that I have given. So that I think ultimately, not everybody should be learning, right? So it's okay if the emerging entrepreneurs, the developer, but you really want people with a lot of industry experience, and GPF has had to sort of has had to come over that Chinese wall to say, okay, here's a GPF professional now who's just going to make sure that we get you over the line. And but I suppose that's part of GPF being that it is a hand-holding exercise, because GPF does say that we want emerging entrepreneurs. So it's not the Baldwins, it's not the Cosmopolitans, it's the Kanye Makayas of this world. You know what I mean? And so they do take a lot of risk on the entrepreneur. And so they will scrutinize you. I think that scrutiny will happen, because for them, it's a key man risk. They've really taken a lot of risk on me. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's, yeah, I don't know if that answers that. I can't be more succinct than that, but I can tell you, I do owe GPF a sizable chunk. They have been very helpful in us restructuring the transaction in a certain way. And obviously, I am their client, and so we've got legal and things that bind us, and things that I obviously cannot share here. But at every stage, they've tried to say, okay, so now let's do it this way, let's look at this way, etc. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it seems it.
Sorry, Ndumi, so that's just the last thing. I think also, I would hope, and I know that the GPF has also gathered a lot of data and experience from me. I've been very open. They've been there from the beginning, and I think even going forward, the transactions that will be done, I think after mine, will be vastly different. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I see. I wanted to say this. There's a post that I saw some time ago that was saying, if you owe the bank a small amount of money, you are in trouble. If you owe the bank a huge amount of money, the bank is in trouble. So,
yeah.
So it seems you owe the GPF a lot of money, but also a lot of gratitude from what you say.
Yes.
They've been very supportive. Lesego is inspired by what you shared with us. I'm also inspired, but I'm just picking up on her on the chat, because she's asking a question that maybe I must ask now, because she's also asked whether what would you do differently if you were to do it again?
Oh, I'm definitely going to do it again. I would do a lot of things differently. I think you can't be a novice forever. So I mean, I'm not a novice anymore.
Yes.
And sometimes GPF reminds me, no, you're a developer, please just now start to behave like a developer, do the next deal. So I think I'm going to be very particular around my own designs. I think when you're new to this, people suggest things, you know, your professionals suggest certain things. I'm going to be quite discerning around who I take in as my team.
Yes.
So that's the first thing. And I think obviously the truth of the matter is that since I started the transaction, I've been on a lot more courses. I have sat around with other developers. And so the person who started the transaction and the person now, I think, are very, very different. And so, yeah, I'm going to be quite discerning around my project team, and who does the construction. I'm going to be quite exacting and discerning around that. And then I think if GPF allows, I even just being part of that project management team, it's important for us to really be very close to the transactions that we do. One, financially. So I'm just saying, always understand the numbers at each stage of the game. Understand those numbers, but also get a very strong project manager. That's what I would say. And then, because I do not think that I'm going to get a mentor doing the next one. And so, yeah, I'm going to really look at my team that I go in with very discerningly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Edgar?
No, thank you very much, Sister, for the inspiring, your inspiring story. Just two quick questions from me in terms of your
Oh.
Edgar, your network is really bad. Maybe switch off your...
term of the loan from both the junior and senior funder and the associated costs. Is it 10 years at prime plus 2? Okay. All right. No, I was asking about the term of the loan one for both junior and senior funder and the cost. Is it 10 years at prime plus 2? Both the property management, have you selected your property manager, and what sort of criteria have you used so that you avoid getting someone who's good on paper but can't deliver? Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the interest rates because it's blended. It's a blended rate. It is JIBAR plus, but I think also when I say it's blended, there is an element of an interest-free loans. There are some, payment holidays, as it were. And so I think when GPF was here 2 weeks ago, they did say it's JIBAR plus. Just remind me again. Remind us again, please, Dumiso, if you have that.
Yeah,
but it's a JIBAR link.
GPF can put it on the chart, but anyway, the interest rate is very personal. So you might get JIBAR plus 3, and then they will say, but for me, I'm risky, JIBAR plus float. So the interest rate is not generic, it's very personal. But GPF can put that on the chart.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
and then the property manager, how did you select it?
Yes. Okay. So I guess, an element of a beauty contest. So when we first came to the GPF, there were some property managers that came and introduced themselves. I didn't choose any of those, but I had a look at a couple of property managers. The ones I chose are the most active in the Benoni area. And I've decided to go with Zulbergs. Yeah. Zulbergs are probably the most active in the Benoni area.
Okay. I don't see any other hand. So let me
Oh
go
no,
back.
my goodness. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Brian, yeah, in fact, they keeping coming now. Brian?
Okay, Dimi, can I just ask for a little favor? Please, just allow the next person to ask questions and I'll ask afterwards. I just want to find a spot to park because I'm driving, please.
Okay. Edgar, are you coming again or this is an old hand?
I'm coming again.
Yes, yeah, shoot.
From my question, in terms of preparation, I've heard some people say, before you do a 100 person building, maybe some start with the 1 bed, then double up with the 2. Then you said, if I'm hearing you correctly, the student accommodation, then straight away
Yeah.
you went to this big building. Yeah, maybe you can tell us about that transition, or whether you can
Yeah.
advise someone who's entering the gap to how to scale, and your experiences around that.
Yeah, that one always makes me laugh, right? Because I think people expect me to say, you know, here are the back rooms that I did first, and then from the back rooms, then I converted a house, and then I converted. I think it's a testament to the funder. It's a testament to the funder and the very big mandates that that funder has. Because if you look at you'd have to do some history on the GPF, and it's an incredible story. The GPF itself is an incredible story around, there was a market failure. So the market had failed because Black developers wanted to get in, into the space. And then of course, the traditional banks wouldn't look at us, right? And even if they looked at us, the kind of equity that they wanted you to put down, I mean, it's just, it's crazy, right? And so I think if you'd have to understand the mandate, the very big social mandate of the GPF, to say, we know that there are Black people who want to play in the space. We know that they don't have a background in development. I think now it's different. I mean, I think we've had young people who've come through the ranks of working for big developers and big property owners and big landlords. But for me, that was not the case. And so I quite understood at the time when I applied that this was a funder that was willing to see their social mandate through, to provide affordable housing in Gauteng, decent and affordable housing in Gauteng, and then to bring others along. A great case of lift as you rise, right? So for me, it's a testament to my funder. It's a great testament to the kind of funder that we have. And I would encourage everybody to really give yourself time and delve into the history of the GPF and really have a look at what it is they want to achieve, and how they're enabling us to be part of that vision. If you have a big vision like they have, then certainly you should be a part of this.
And they issued an advert, I think about a month ago. They are looking for you, actually. If you are sitting here and you are into big things, they are looking for you. So be ready. GPF is ready for you. Brian, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Hi, Sister Kai.
Yeah,
I have several questions.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
now I can hear you. Thanks, yeah.
Okay. Hi, Sister Kai. I have several questions for you, quite a number of them. The first one would be your contingency. How much was your contingency allowance for the project? What percentage was it?
Okay, all right. Let me write down all the questions and then I'll come back to you.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to put some things, yeah?
The first one is about contingency, what percentage it was?
Yeah.
You spoke about cost overruns, but I wanna ask Jorge, in terms of the errors that happened while you constructed, like the challenges that you came across, your budget costing, was it not affected in any way, or was it affected at all? Like, I just want to see how you actually maneuver around that. And the third one would be about mentoring. Jorge, you are speaking about the strength of a mentor that one should have. Do you feel, Jorge, when you had a strong mentor who saw you through, like the project, or was that a challenge in itself? Like, was the mentor that you had also a problem? Because this worries me a bit, because I'm also working on something similar, which now means that I have to start looking for a mentor. And then the professional team, what percentage value was the cost of your professional team?
Oh my goodness. Oh no. Okay. You know what? Maybe let me get your details and I'll answer number 1 and 4. Because
Okay.
I just have to pull up. I'll have to pull up a very big model and a very big spreadsheet. So, but I want to talk about number 2 and number 3. Let me start with number 3, the mentoring. Are you done with the
Okay.
questions?
Yeah, I've got a lot as well.
Oh my goodness.
No. I think
maybe we should have coffee.
Yes, yeah. I think if you, Sis Kanye, you are willing, I can share your contact details with Brian. You don't have to answer that now, and then you guys can have a chat and then take it from there.
That would be great. That would be fantastic.
Look, it's so easy to apportion blame, right? Because the human heart wants to apportion blame wherever it can, without taking blame for its own misdirection. I'm not going to sit here and blame people. So I'm not going to sit here and say, this one was to blame, that one was to blame, because it won't help. I have given that feedback to say, for me, I think the mentors should be slightly different. If in one person you can find someone who can help with the first part, and it's a big part, the feasibility study, the stuff that has to go to the credit committee, that's real stuff, right? And there's a lot of work that goes in there, right? But I just feel like once we start the building, the mentor should be slightly different, and it should be a mentor that understands the tricks of this trade, right? Very intense, because I am not a contractor, guys. I am a developer. So for me, I set the vision. I understand the design. I love stuff around being environmentally friendly. So I can do the feasibility study. That for me is easy. I've got that kind of background. But I think once we start putting the assets down, for me, I just feel like you need a more technical mentor, right? So I don't know if that helps you in what you're going to do, but I think that should be left to the funder. If the funder, that is their role to assign a mentor, then I think we should leave that to the funder, right? So that's the first thing. And then, was my budget affected? As I said, there's stuff that I would have liked to do on site, aesthetically, that I cannot do. So I wanted a children's play area, the landscaping, because it's quite a big development. And so there's no money for that. So there are things that would have been a nice to have, but right now we just needed a very functional building, which is what we've achieved, and walked away from the nice things that are extra. Around contingencies and your last question, I mean, that's technical, and we can have a technical discussion elsewhere. But yeah.
Just in closing, well, those technical ones, I would really appreciate if you and I could have coffee and just talk them through. I would really, really, really appreciate it. But there's one question that I want to ask you now. I think it will be beneficial for everybody to, know about. this is regarding the senior funder. You said, Jorge, you can't mention who the senior funder is, but as you said, Jorge, GPF has been changing over the years. Like they've also been improving. Previously, they didn't want like a BOQ, I think, and they didn't, really care whether the property was zoned or not, and they will still give you finance, but not those things have changed. So senior funding has now also changed in that they no longer hold your hand and find you one. They say they will fund like the junior portion of it, and the senior should be funded by yourself. So, and there's quite a lot of them out there, many of which we do not know. So if you could maybe share with us who this senior funder is, just to add that senior funder to our potential list of approaching once we have, like all the documentation ready to actually apply for internal finance.
No, I disagree. I'm not going to do it like that for the simple reason that as I understand, in the EEPF, they will find you the senior funder. That's what I understand. So I think maybe you're talking about another, in the EEPF fund. So the one I applied to, the one on whose door I knocked, they'll find you the senior funder. They say, you don't have to come in. You're an emerging property entrepreneur. Please understand, they know you don't know who the fund is. I would have known who the funders are. The one I applied to, they were coming with the senior funder. And yes, I think also, I think maybe I might have given the wrong impression. It's not as if GPF, I came in and then GPF just gave me the money and said, here's the money, now get the BOQ. No. It didn't happen like that. So I came in, there was a good year and a half where nothing was done and I didn't see any money from the GPF. Once my deal had gone to their credit committee, and once we understood the timeline for the drawdowns, before then, I funded the carrying cost of my property, keeping it clean, and paying the rates and taxes to the municipality. Right? I'm not sure if yeah, I mean, I don't want it to sound like you come in, you shake hands, and suddenly there's this amount of money in your bank account. It doesn't work like that. I mean, you still need to put the transaction together, right? The whole business plan together, which will now go to their credit com.
Yeah.
And if their credit com approves it, right, then you do the selection of the contractor. Like you have and there are certain ways you can do that. And yes, I see in this one, you need a BOQ, but I think that's a good thing, you see, because it attunes your mind to the transaction that you're doing. So I think it's a good thing that you do spend some money. And I mean, there are professionals that will take you on risk. There are. Or you have to pay a little bit to get the BOQ and to get your designs done. I think it's a good thing that they want the BOQ.
Okay, great. I'll stop it at that. And and then maybe in Dooms will then link us up. Thank you very much, my sister. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Brian. Sis Juliet.
Hi, Kanye.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Ekasi billionaires. Kanye, I've got 2 questions.
Yes.
The funding that you got, does it have a rental price condition? I've heard that GPF sometimes they would fund and then maybe there is a percentage that you need to rent out at not more than a certain price.
Yes.
Does that funding also have that?
Yes.
Yeah,
because the mandate is to be an affordable house. That's what their mandate is. It's not like you're going to go to APSA, right? And also, I think what I love about the GPF is that their mandate says that in the blended funding, that's why it's difficult. You know, people want a rate. People want to say, how much is it? Is it 7% that you're paying? You know, and it really is blended for the very fact that, or it's blended because whatever it's going to come out at, you need to pass on that good rate that you got from the GPF. I mean, JIBAR is what other banks and other financial institutions are borrowing at, and they give you an opportunity to borrow at that rate. So, and not at prime. And so I think whatever you get, you got to pass on that sweeter funding. You got to pass it on in your rental by giving, you know, a slightly better rental to the market rate. So if in that area for 2 beds, they're paying 3,000 and that's the market rate, at least come in at 2008 or come in at 2005. I mean, you know,
that be now applicable to all your units or maybe to a specific percentage of your units?
All my units.
All your units, okay. All right. So they sort of tell you that you cannot go beyond a certain amount, or you just decide on your own that this would be your a maximum price that you can charge.
Yeah, remember you're going to do your study.
Yeah.
So you are going to look at the rentals in that area, right? And then you're going to come out at a number, and then you're going to pass on some benefits because you got such a great rate. So you pass on some benefit then, and then you can discuss that with them as to what level that is.
Okay, so the rates, they still make it a viable project, and they still enable you that you can still cover your bond.
Yeah, if it's not viable, if it's not viable, Credit Com won't go with the project.
Okay, all right. And then the last question, earlier on, there was a question that of things, if you had an opportunity of doing things differently. So combining that, there was also you touched a bit on the technical mentor issue. So now what I would like to know is that had you had a technical mentor and the knowledge that you have now about the development, do you think you would have saved a lot of money or cost that you have spent on the project? It could have cost you probably lesser to
definitely.
do your project.
Oh, definitely. It's a great project. Maybe not a Rolls Royce, right? Because there's no garden, there's no but that's okay, because I think it also helps you to think more broadly around solutioning differently. It's easier to just put grass, you know, but really water costs are quite high, and so you know, one starts to look at things very differently because you got to pay that money back. And so and I've just been lucky, because I think even with the delays, I've been able to go back into the project and just do some things differently that maybe had the money been there, I wouldn't have done. You know, so for instance, instead of landscaping with grass, I have an edible garden. You know, that's what I'm looking to do there. Because I think COVID has taught us that it's not just about our money, you know, it's also about how we can be a channel for others. So now you have this lovely building, and then everywhere is grass, and so now at least you can have an edible garden and people can have access to it who are living there. So yeah, Juliet, I mean, I think you know me, so yeah, I've had to really solution differently as well because of the challenges that I had there. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Yeah, but and also, sorry, through you, Ndumi, so I think, again, it's this whole thing about apportioning blame. There's no blame to be apportioned. I think it's just saying that maybe for the projects that come after me, maybe it does need a slightly different mentoring once we get on site, especially for people like me who are doing these projects for the first time. And you know, that is, I'm quite open about it, and that is the feedback that I've given. My mentors could easily be on this because I did invite them. So, and they know that they gave me great advice. They gave me, they really held my hand. And the ultimately what you see is a testament to that. And it's also a testament, I think, to a funder that is extremely supportive and very clear about its mandate as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, thanks, Kanye, and thanks everyone for the questions. Let's ask. I think Petsila, I think she's still here. Petsila Koza, GPF, or anyone from GPF to come in and just close up before we close with Sis Kanye. If there is anything that you guys want to add or clarify, whatever the case may be.
Okay, I think I'm the last one here. Everybody has just vanished, but it's okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ekasi. This is actually the first time.
Do you mind turning on your camera? Do you mind turning on your camera?
No, I do actually. Today I do mind, and there's not even enough money to me so that you can offer me. Let me turn on my camera. I'm so sorry, guys. Next time. Next time.
Okay, now go ahead.
Just to wrap up, you know, as this Kanye was talking, I think I realized that we're going to get trashed a bit on a couple of things, because from 2012, things have changed gradually at the company. So there are things that I just want to bring forth so that people have a clear picture. This Kanye, when she came through, things were sweet. We were going through a good financial time. You know, everybody was having fun. The money was there. So things were slightly different than they are today. Firstly, one thing that has changed, we don't offer mentors anymore, unfortunately. So when you come in, we assume that we're hoping that you know what you're trying to do. And secondly, our technical team will assist you with implementing the project. But even internally, we will guide you. We won't find a project that is not viable. So we'll definitely go through the whole due diligence process to make sure that your project is viable so that you are not in a worse off position. So that's how we have intensified that. And then secondly, your equity contribution is no longer 3%. It has gone up to a minimum of 5%, but that depends on project viability and size of the project. The bigger the project, the more the money you need to put in, and the not so vibrant the area when it comes to rentals, you might find that you need to put in more equity just to balance the rentals. And then the third thing that has changed is senior funding. We don't have a senior funding partner anymore. When Mrs. Kanye joined GPF, we had senior funding partners. We had NHFC and we had Aspiring, which is a PIC subsidiary. So those guys had allocated money to us that we could use to fund the senior funding portion. Unfortunately, we have exhausted those funds and we haven't been able to go back to the negotiating table to increase the funding that they've given us. So it is exhausted. So currently we're expecting you to find your own senior funder. We can assist you where we can or where we should, like running the financial model with them and stuff like that, and actually attending meetings, we do that, but you need to find your own senior funder. We can refer you to somebody or to the senior funding partners that we work with, but unfortunately you have to do the approaching yourself. So those are the few things I just wanted to highlight and bring forth before people kill us that we're no longer providing what Mrs. Kanye were getting. The times are a bit different, guys, sorry about that, but we are still willing to look at your applications. We are still very much hands-on. Our approach hasn't changed at all. When you come into the office, whether your application, we are not happy with your application, doesn't mean that we're gonna turn you back immediately. It just means that we need to find a way to make it work. And if it doesn't work, we will let you know, and everybody needs to be comfortable with that. So GPF, our doors are still open. You can come in at any time to seek funding. We'll be happy to assist you.
Petile, don't go away. There's someone who wants to move from TAF to you guys. Sis Julia?
Cecilia, I'm rather concerned. Hi, Cecilia, how are you?
Hi, Sisi, I'm all right, and yourself?
Good, good. I'm concerned about this issue of us having to go and find the senior funders by ourselves. I'm a bit worried about that one. Why isn't you guys that are facilitating that? Because I mean, I think the reason why most of us Black people, we struggle to break into this industry is the issue of being frustrated, of not being able to get funding. And, you know, we excited to get organizations like yours and your Tufts and so on, who can fund us now. But now, if you're saying now, we must find our own senior funders, that could be a problem, you know. So, and that's a bit discouraging.
Yeah.
It
Before,
shouldn't discourage you,
Patsy?
Sis Juliet.
Mm.
Hi,
Patsy?
Sissy.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yes, Sis Kanye.
Juliet, I wouldn't write it off. I mean, I think for me it adds the flavor, because we are in it to win it, right? We this is what we want to do. We're passionate about it. We want to put those assets down, and definitely the senior funders are there. And I think Patsy is saying that assistance will be given. So if you have the right financial models, if the modeling is done correctly, and everything makes sense, they'll also be willing to have a look at what you have to offer. So yeah, I wouldn't actually let it bring me down. I think it just it gets us closer to understanding the transactions that we're doing. And I think the senior funders are there, right, Patsy?
Yes, they are, Sis Kanye. Thank you for that. Just to give a bit of background, our senior funding partners, when Sis Kanye started, we had a co-funding arrangement. So we had contracts in place where we could actually go and sit down with them on the table and actually discuss the project's viability, the interest rates and stuff like that. So now, because we don't have that, we can't actually go and influence how a senior funder is going to look at your project. That's why I said we can refer you to the senior funding partners that we work with. We are able to attend meetings with you so that we provide guidance and we actually provide a better picture of what's happening on the project when it comes to the financial viability side of it. So we're still willing to do that, but unfortunately, because we don't have those co-funding arrangements anymore, we are unable to actually influence the senior funders like we used to. Sis Kanye, when they even came through, the applications were done in-house. They didn't even have to go to a senior funder. We did everything on their behalf. So unfortunately, that is all gone. It's no longer as sweet as it used to be. You need to go to the senior funder. The senior funder also needs to develop a relationship with you as their client. So that should GPF cease to exist or we are not there, you have a relationship with that senior funder. We've opened the door. You've opened the door for yourself as well. So unfortunately, we can't do what we used to do. We are just doing it differently. We are there to assist you. It's just that we're no longer hands-on.
Okay.
Okay.
No, thank you. Thank you, Patsy. Let's take the last question. Ngonyama.
Thank you, Ndumiso. Patsy, I just wanted to ask, do you think an organization like TAF for the projects which involve converting an existing office building into residential, do you think that TAF can be a senior funder or not?
Yes, definitely. We are working a lot with TAF on a number of projects in the CBD. The only thing with GPF is that we do not like conversions, not conversions, refurbishments, because our mandate is to add new stock into the market. So if it's already existing stock, it's an existing building that is already listened to tenants that are paying, they're staying there, it's a residential building, we cannot look at it. But if it's an office building that you are converting, you are adding new units into the market. So we'll definitely be able to look at that, and we welcome TAF to be a senior funder.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thanks for that question, Ngonyama, because there's a project that I actually wanted to take to GPF of a conversion, and it's exactly what Peter is talking about. There are tenants And I wanted to convert it to more units. It's 3-bedroom units. I wanted to convert them into bachelor flats and take them to GPF. But I guess I just got my answer, and thanks to you, Ngonyama and Petsile. Petsile, thank you for being here and answering the questions. Highly appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Ladies and
Thank
gents,
you
I
very
think,
much, guys.
thank you. Yeah, I think let's leave it here with Usis Kanyi and everybody else. And thank you so much for everyone that you joined us. And yeah, but Sis Kanyi, you know, I love you. And thank you for the positive attitude that you displayed this morning. There's lots of things that you've said, and I hope the people that are on the call, they made notes of those things. That we must take full responsibility about what happens to us. That's very important. Not to look at other people and start apportioning blame and all of that. Take things positively so that you can be able to move and see how you can change your life. For instance, with all the delays and all the challenges that you face in the problem, it's only your positive attitude that has pushed you to where you are today. I'm not going to talk too much to that. There's, like I said, there's many things that you've said. Your story is inspiring. And we're glad that you are part of us as this crusade of Ekasi Properties in trying to share information. We are going to be with you in the long haul and learn a lot from you and everybody else. So let's leave it right there and just, I don't know if you have any last words that you want to share?
I just, really wanted to thank you for the opportunity. I think if it was up to me, I would do it at a very micro level and probably not be so public. I am available. I am open for discussion, to share, etc. But I'm really looking forward to the kind of solutioning I think that we need to start thinking about. I mean, everybody says, who's the senior funder? But at no point do we look at how can we pull our own resources so that we can really play in the space in a very, very big way. We don't talk about that. We're still looking at, who out there can help us to provide the very thing that our communities need. And so I remain excited, Dumiso. I remain excited around us coming together. I just wish COVID was over so we could have a workshop around how do we assist the GPF, because I don't even think we think that big. How can we assist the GPF to really put down these assets, Yeah, personally, I'd like to do maybe 200 more units. That's what I'm looking to do. But it would be so great if we could really start coming together and pulling our own resources and see how far that takes us. So in closing then, I just wanted to say, I hope you've all been encouraged.
Yes.
Because, sometimes you don't want to tell people too much in case they then say, oh, no, I'm not going to do this. This is too much trouble. I think you're here because you have a desire. And I just hope that your desire has been strengthened. Always look at me and look to the Sharon Rose and just always know that it is possible. It may have changed, requirements may have changed, the market may have changed, but your desire and your vision will see you through. Thank you, Demis.
Yeah, thanks, Skanyi. And I will take on that challenge of you doing something together. Maybe let me put a date on it even now. I have trainings in the next 2 Saturdays that I will be conducting. I will share that training just now. But I think after that training, we must not have a normal roundtable, but we must call upon anyone who wants to come and take up this challenge of doing something together. Just put our heads together, even if it's online for the starters, just to know who's willing and who's would want to move with us in this journey. And then we then take it up from there, and then we see what we do. So let's accept the challenge and take you on it and see what we can do for ourselves, and not looking up for other people and senior funders and junior funders. Let's see what is it that we can do ourselves. Even if we go back to GPF and say, GPF, here we are a group, can you assist us? Thank you, Sis Kanyi. I highly appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was such an inspiring and informative session that we just had with Sis Kanyi. And if you can see now on your screen, it is the end of the road for our series that we started with the GPF. We then came to Umastandi, and they are clients, which means Umastandi client and the GPF client, which is Sis Kanyi that we have today. I'm not sure if Art is still here, but it was great to have him last Saturday. So what's happening next is we'll be having the training, like I just said, on the 29th of May. I will be conducting the training, Property Fundamentals, where we'll be talking about structuring, how you should own your investment, and the different platforms that are there that one can use to own their investment. And the financing, we talked a lot about junior and senior funders. We'll be touching on that, and other financing strategies that one can employ to make sure to finance their portfolios. How do you also identify positive flowing properties? That's what we'll be covering on the 29th of May. That will be both trainings will be for half a day. One will be 500 and the other one will be 750. The investing in multi-lets or backrooms, we're going to be talking about conducting due diligence and the feasibility studies. We're gonna be focused on zoning. I think there we'll get a town planner to come and share with us the zoning requirements for multi-lets or building rooms. We're going to be talking about deal analysis. How do you analyze your deal and make sure that you will be successful? Because like you've just learned now, there's many challenges in the construction. So if you are building a multi-let or you are renovating a property into a multi-let, you are going to face lots of challenges. So in your deal analysis, you must make sure that you make provisions of the holding costs and other costs that you might be incurring in your conversions. So we're going to be touching on that, and also just dealing with how you deal with the issue of builders and all the professionals that Sis Kanyi talked about, and to make sure that you run a successful project. So those are the two trainings that I will be running in the next 2 Saturdays. Like I said, the one is the multi-lets is 750. The property fundamentals is 500, but you can get both of them for 1,000. So if you attend both of them, you just pay 1,000, then you are in. So I hope to see most of you next Saturday. Basically, what we'll be doing here is to round up everything that we have learned in the roundtables over the past 5 months. Round them up so that you can take all those things correctly packaged and go and implement and start or expand your property portfolio. And then, like I just said, after that, then we are going to be, we'll call a meeting of all, of everyone who's interested in coming together and just run around ideas in terms of what is it that we can do as people together in building, in putting these assets that Sis Kanyi is talking about, putting them in the ground. But for now, if you have any issues, specific issues that you want to answers on or help with, or even if you want to have a chat, you want to bounce some things to someone else, have a talk with me. Sis Kanyi talked a lot about mentoring and coaching. So these are the service that I also provide of coaching. Coaching is basically where you have an issue that you want sorted out, quick, one in and out issue, 1 hour session, we can have a chat with that. Mentoring is a total different process, which is the hand holding of you until you get your first property. Now, I will hope to see you next Saturday. For those that won't be coming for the training, I will announce the next series of the roundtables that we'll have probably from July. And then, yeah, we take it up from there. And I hope you've learned a lot from Sis Kanye. I have learned a lot. And as you can see the quote, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he is not the same person. So all I will say to you is namaste. Have a great weekend, have a great week ahead, and all the best for your investment journey and everything else that you're trying to achieve in life. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining us.